Alright, tonight's going to be a real quick video about how we did multiplication with the lattice method. And I'm just going to do this one because I think it's important to show you guys what the lattice method looks like over and over and over and over again. And just make sure that it really sinks in, if that's your method of multiplication. If you use the shortcut algorithm or the old school algorithm to do multiplication, and you do it accurately and you do it and you get correct answers, then by all means keep doing that. I don't want to stop production. So if you're one of the people though that use the lattice method for multiplication, we're just going to jump into it right now. I'm going to pick two numbers off the top of my head. I'm going to put 27 times 14. 27 is my favorite number. 14 is the year that we're in. And that's a 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication. So we're going to need a lattice that's 2-digit by 2-digit. What does that mean? Well, here you go. It's important in the very beginning stages of the lattice multiplication that you make sure that your setup is right on point and that it makes sense. If you draw your diagonals off and they're not accurate, then your whole method's shot. But what you do is you come to this little point right here, you connect it through there. Okay? That little point in the middle there, connect it down through that point. Then the top right point, you connect it through the middle and through the lowest left far end corner. So top right corner to furthest left bottom corner. Then the middle right point through the middle right there. So basically we have 1, 2, 3, 4 diagonals going on. And then 27 times 14. Alright? It's really long for. And you could put 14 here or 27 here, it doesn't matter. It's not going to change it. We're just gonna jump right into the multiplication of it without explaining why this works. Maybe in a later video I'll explain why this method of multiplication works. On Khan Academy, he explains why the lattice method of multiplication works, and so you can access that one. And we've watched it in class, and I've explained it in class why it works for place value understanding. But this is what you do. So right here's your 1. Okay, it takes place value of a 10 right here. But just right now we're going to say 1. And we're going to say 1 times 7 is 7. Okay? But we have to put a 0 in this placeholder. We can imagine that in this little box right here, we can imagine that in this little box, that's the multiplication of 1 times 7. And we get 7. 0 tens and 7 ones. And then in this little box right here, we're going to get the multiplication. We're going to get the product of the multiplication sentence, 1 times 2, and that gives us 2. Okay? Pretty easy. And then down here in this little box, we're going to get the product of the multiplication sentence, 7 times 4, and we know that to be 28. And then in this box, it's going to be the product of 4 times 2, and that's going to be 8. Alright? So at this point, we've multiplied each one of our numbers here and gotten all kinds of products inside these boxes. And now what we do is we add up the diagonals. And what that means is we add up, I was looking for a different colored marker. I have one somewhere. But as my students know, I always lose my markers, so imagine me having a marker I needed right now. Let's just imagine these diagonals here, and I'll bold them in or something like that, or draw them squiggly or something like that. So we can focus on each one of the individual diagonals. I hope that kind of accentuates it a little bit. This one right here, we know it's 8 by itself, and it comes down here. Okay. In this diagonal, we have an 8, a 2, and a 7, and we could run it out to the right over here. We could add it up however we wanted to, but I'm just going to say that I know 8 plus 2 is 10, and then plus 7 is 17. And I'm not going to write 17 like this, because that wouldn't make sense. I know that I need to carry that 1 over here, right? So then I add the 2 and the 1 here to get 3. And notice these are just zeros, so they don't matter. And this is a 0, and he doesn't matter. So then I just write each one of the digits at the bottom of the diagonals as they're written. Okay? I have a 3 first. Next comes a 7. And then lastly is an 8. So my product of 27 times 14 is 378. And that would make sense because we know that if we have 30, that 27 is about 30. And if we multiply that by 10, we'll get 300. Okay? So we could imagine that that's about correct. Just by giving a smart estimate, we know we're in the ballpark of a correct answer. So that right there is just a real quick way of reviewing multiplication with the lattice method. Not decimals, just whole numbers. The next video to come up is going to be the decimal multiplication with the lattice. And I hope that gives you some review, really helps you guys out with the lattice method multiplication. And I thank you so much for watching these videos. I hope they're working. I hope they're helping. And see you guys tomorrow.